Oh, is this thing on? Okay, so you're watching the increasingly intimate black and white videos with Doug and of RealityMe.net. As Dan Aykroyd said about his brother, John Belushi, my brother would like to become increasingly intimate with you, and that's what I'd like to do. I would actually like to be more open with you. And what's interesting is there's probably a lot of people out there who are like, Doug, you're overshare already. We already know you. Well, there's this interesting thing. God, I wish I had it in front of me right now. There's this little thing that has gone around the internet a lot, and I really like it. And I put it on Facebook. It's this thing that said basically it's saying nobody knows who you are, including you. And I mean, it's a little bit of an existential thing that says basically, so Billy Joel, back in the day, sang a song about wearing masks. And if you're from my generation, my era, we kind of grew up with parents that taught us to put on they were upward mobility people. They were climbing the ladders, and maybe it's a caste thing. Maybe it's not a generational thing, but we were told, we had to act right, and we had to do the right thing, dress the right thing, and say the right words, and you basically put on a facade. And what happened outside the walls of your house might be different than what happened inside of your house. And then Billy Joel had this song about masks. We all wear masks. So, for instance, if I go to the office, I'm putting on my work mask, and I might not talk religion or politics in the office, and I'm going to stick to work topics, and maybe I'm not going to be too open about what I do on the weekends or in my personal life, and but when I go to the Scouts, I'm wearing my Scout uniform, and I'm living the Scout oath and Scout law. And of course, as a Scout leader and as a Scout person, I have committed to live the oath and law all the time, and I really do that. I mean, honestly, when you come right down to it, I believe that I'm a good person, and I might look like a little bit of a hippie or something right now, but it's... and that's not to imply hippies are bad. That was a really wrong thing to say, because they're not bad. Hippies are great. I'm a good person. I believe that in my soul. But there might be people out there who don't think that. And that's what I'm getting at, is the thing that went around the internet was saying that every person you encounter has their own version of you, including you. So when you look in that mirror, and you see the person that you are, and you think the thoughts that you think, you may not be, you're painting a picture for yourself that no one else may see. So your wife or your husband, they know you as their experiences with you. And even though you're extremely intimate with them, you may not actually... they may have a different picture of you than you have of yourself. And then the people that you interact with in society, let's say I bump into someone in the grocery store, brand new person, I've never met them before, and we have an interaction, and it's a good interaction, and we depart happy and new friends. And then they go home and they tell their spouse, oh, I met this person at the grocery store. They were the kindest person. They helped me put my groceries in my car and held the umbrella over me as I walked through the rain. But then you have an interaction on the road where at the traffic light, you have a little bit of road rage and you yell at the guy in the car beside you. And now that person has a completely different impression of who you are in a different picture, because you are not a nice guy, and you would never do good by them, and they go home and they tell their spouse, you met the most horrible person, and he's the exact same person that the other person is telling their spouse was the most wonderful person in the world. Two different versions of the same person, yet you in your mind have another version of the story. between the two different people, you have that impression of who you are. Nobody knows. Nobody has the same picture of the same person. We all create our own little realities. And the point is that I would like to share my reality with you. That's why I have a blog called Reality Me, realityme.net. It's to paint the picture of who I am and to tell my stories as I see them. However, the truth of the matter is that everything you see on the internet, including this video, in Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all the social media crap, it's just a keyhole picture into a person's life. And the bad thing about it is that it gives this impression as you watch this person day to day post their videos or post their diatribes, their rants, their angers, their happiness, their joys, their illusions of grandeur, that they're living the great life. And maybe it's a poster on their wall behind their couch and you think they're in Acapulco or something. Whatever impression they're giving on that social media isn't necessarily the whole them. It's a keyhole vision. But we as voyeurs, as consumers of that information, start to think that we know them inside and out. We know every detail of that person, but we don't. We can't possibly know them unless we're with them all the time. And not even if we're with them all the time. That's your spouse. I mean, even your spouse doesn't know you, doesn't know your most deepest thoughts up there, because, we have these things that we do keep to ourselves. It's like it would be nice if we could merge our minds with that other person, really become one soul between the two of us when we take that vow of marriage to become one. But that's not really what happens. So it comes back around to what I was saying, was that I wish there was a platform where I could be extremely candid. Maybe it's Patreon. Maybe on Patreon, if you pay $10,000 a month, Doug spills everything he has deep inside of him and lets you know his innermost secrets. Can I really do that? Nah, because let's say, let's make something up. Let's say I was a tax evader, and I put that out on social media. And then I want to go get a job, where Oak Ridge is 20, 30 minutes that way from my house. And it's a great place to work. And you have, Knoxville has lots of employment and stuff, but you have so many people that work for the University of Tennessee or ORNL, Oak Ridge National Laboratories, that, really, when you come down to it, this is kind of a small town. And to put something out on social media that says, I was a tax evader. Random thing, whatever. Maybe it's your views on illicit drugs or religion or abortion or something controversial. Well, for someone like me who's seeking employment, that could be detrimental. That could determine whether or not I actually get an interview. It could determine whether or not I actually get the job, which could influence my future as far as my ability to one day retire or send my kids to school or my health. So, as much as someone like me would like to be patently open on the internet, none of us can do it. I mean, you got some people, maybe Robert Scoble, we get the impression that he's very candid. I mean, he wore Google glasses into the shower. He's famous for that. But is that really his full story? Is that the whole picture? No, it's not. And that comes back to that article that went around the internet saying that nobody, absolutely, including you, knows who you are. Which is really an interesting philosophical position to take. Because, I mean, if you don't really know who you are, how can anybody know who you are? You've been listening to Doug.